Hello everyone, I am Ramona Goff and I am your instructor for ENH 242 American Literature after 1860. ENH 242 is a survey of major literary works written by American authors during the last 160 years. That is a lot of literature to cover in just 8 weeks. So how do we approach this massive task? The class is arranged in 7 thematic modules. You will cover 1 module per week. In each module, you will begin by putting the literature in historical context. You'll be watching a video constructed by Annenberg Lerner of approximately 30 minutes. Afterwards, you'll take a brief quiz about that video. You'll have 1 video per week, and all of those quizzes together will equal 25% of your grade. Then you will begin reading literary texts. In each module, you'll have anywhere from 3 to 5 pieces of literature to read. These pieces will reflect the most important writers of that particular era. As you read each piece of literature, you'll be asked to write golden lines. Now, a very specific instructions on what I'm looking for and a grading rubric is included in the first module. Be sure to read the content page entitled, "What are Golden Lines?" Very briefly, however, these golden lines ask you to select passages that are meaningful to you and to explain how those passages affected you. There are no right or wrong answers to golden lines, but I do expect them to be clear, coherent, and grammatically correct. So I encourage you to create them in a word processing document, get them just perfect, and then copy and paste them into the discussion board forum. Once you have finished reading, then you are going to be asked to take a reading quiz over the pieces of literature. You'll take 1 comprehensive quiz over each piece, over each selection. So you may have 5 stories, and you will have a 20-point quiz. That's 4 questions per story. The quizzes are objective questions. They're there to make sure that you have read the piece. However, I construct them from a pool of questions. What this means is that for every piece that you've read, I have written anywhere between 3 and 10 questions, and I put them in a pool of questions. And then the quiz selects questions from the pool at random. This means that no 2 students will have exactly the same quiz. Reading quizzes will be 35% of your grade. Once you've finished the reading and the background, now you are in the position to begin our class discussions. If we were in a classroom in a face-to-face format, my preferred way of teaching this class, and we had a discussion, I would introduce a topic that was relevant to the articles that are the pieces of literature that we had read. And I would ask people to answer the question, to comment on the question, to elaborate on what had already been said, and so forth. What we would notice, however, is that as we were having this class discussion, people would not be repeating what other people said. In other words, we wouldn't have Artie, who gave a very insightful statement, and then Artina would say, "Yeah, I agree with Artie." End of discussion. In our topic discussions, you'll have a broad topic that each person will need to answer, right? A brief answer to the question. And you are encouraged to respond to each other if you wish. That's not a part of the assignment. But if you wish and you are respectful and collegial, I encourage you to respond to your classmates. However, what you cannot do is repeat what another classmate has said. So before you post your answer to the topic discussion, you need to have read through all of your classmates' posts to make sure that you are not repeating what someone who has posted before you has already said. If that happens, you will get 0 points for your post. Now, the question will be broad enough, and it will encompass all of the readings for the class. Sometimes it will encompass readings for that module 1 and the module before it. So it will not be impossible or even particularly difficult to come up with a different answer if you know what has already been said. To those of you who like to get your work done early, you have an added incentive, because obviously if you're the first person to post, anything that you post is going to be okay as long as it's an accurate answer. In the same vein, I always like students to apply the literature, even if it was written in 1860, to their daily lives and what is happening to them. In that frame of reference, what I always ask you to do is to have personal reflections. I will post an issue that is a current issue and that is reflected in the thematic modules, and then ask you to reflect on that. Once again, your answers are not right or wrong because they are your answers. But as before, you're not going to have the same answer in content as someone else because they will be your personal reflections. Now, obviously, we have a great deal of work to do. So what if you get behind, and what if you're late? Well, some assignments will not be graded if they are submitted late. Your golden lines, your topic discussions, and your topic reflections are those very assignments. Some assignments can be submitted late. Your background quizzes and your reading quizzes can be submitted late. Most of those are self-graded, or the majority of them are self-graded, and that doesn't pose a problem for me. The golden lines, topic discussions, and topic reflections are time-consuming to grade, and also you need the feedback on them before you do the next module's golden lines, topic discussions, and topic reflections. So I have to be right on it. I can be more forgiving for background quizzes and reading quizzes. Now, if you know you have an emergency situation, you can ask for an extension on assignments. As long as you contact me 24 hours before the deadline and give me a reasonable explanation for why the deadline needs to be extended, I am willing to work with you on that. Just a note, it is important that when you complete assignments, you only complete the assignments that are in the module. You'll notice as you open the module that you have quizzes here. They're marked. They have the little different kinds of assignments, and they're marked, and there's a due date. Okay? You can find your assignments in multiple places. There is always a to-do list that's listed over here. And if you click on the course calendar, there is a calendar of assignments, and then when you get done, they put a mark through them so that you know that they have been completed. The problem is that I do sometimes take assignments out. I may decide that in one particular week that you don't need to do a personal reflection. As we're moving through, I can see that folks are struggling with keeping up, and I have been known to do that. The problem is that in order to get it out of all of these places, you have to subtract it from a number of locations, and sometimes I miss those locations. So what I'm trying to say is, if you were only clicking on assignments in the calendar and doing them, or going to your to-do list and doing them, you may do an assignment that you do not need to do. If an assignment is in the module, you're held responsible for it. If it's not in the module, even if I wanted you to do it, but I didn't turn it on in the module or it didn't appear in the module, that is my problem. That is not your problem. So you can use these things to sort of keep track of what you've done and what you haven't done. But remember that you want to work from the module, not from the calendar or the to-do list. And finally, what about attendance? We are audited, and because of financial aid, Veterans Affairs, and a number of other bureaucratic entities, we have to be very cautious about allowing people to stay in the class who are not participating. In order to remain in attendance, you have to complete at least one activity every week. Once again, if you are not able to complete activities, send me an email and ask for an extension and give me an explanation. That's all I ask for. However, if you do not complete an activity each week for 2 consecutive weeks, you will be withdrawn as non-participating. You will be dropped from the class. This is an 8-week class. I can't give you much more extension than that. And if I have to withdraw you for non-participating and you have less than a 70% at the time of withdrawal, I will withdraw you failing, which is a Y. Now a Y means that's going to impact your GPA until you retake the class and get the Y removed. So don't ghost me. If you become overwhelmed and feel like you have to withdraw from the class, send me an email and tell me I'm overwhelmed, my work changed, I got COVID, I have had lots of family issues. Give me a reason why you need to be withdrawn from the class and ask me to withdraw you. I'll happily do so. But if you simply disappear and stop participating, then you're going to get a Y unless at the time I withdraw you, you have a 70%. So the important message for this is to keep me in the loop. This is an 8-week intense literature class. It can feel overwhelming, especially around the holiday season. I can work with you, but I need to know that you need me to work with you. So use the email in Canvas Messenger, contact me, set up an appointment with me via Google Meets or Google Hangouts or Zoom, and we can talk. But don't just get discouraged and disappear. That's the wrong way to handle the situation. I love ENH 242. I love teaching literature classes, and I like working with my students. I look forward to reading your personal reflections. I look forward to reading your golden lines. And if you just want to talk about the literature, send me an email, ask for a meet, and I'd be happy to set something up. Welcome to the class. Good luck.